Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl, Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets, where we decode the art and science of building a thriving coaching business. So let's see what's in store today with none other than the legend himself, Karl Bryan, and of course, yours truly, the Road Dog. Shoots, welcome back.
Yo, Road Dog. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing well, buddy. I'm doing well. How are you? How's, we're going to be talking, we're going to timestamp this a bit because we're going to talk 2025. So how is the end of the year shaping up for KB?
Man, Christmas was good. More family stuff, again, I've had periods in my life where it's go, and this is time to get ahead. For me, this was time to chill with family and whatnot. So we had 11 people here in the house and snow was falling. And so we're in Canada for Christmas. But anyways, all good, dude. But again, I think it's all about phase of life. I get asked that from coaches, like, should I be jacking up and ramping up? And it all comes back to coaching 101, right? You got 2 points, little red arrow, you are here. And then where you want to get to, those 2 points, think of Uber, right? Uber built a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars off a 2-question, where are you? Where do you want to go? And so that's what I did. I don't know if that's the best answer there, man, but we've been a little bit chill, but I am ready to go for 2025, man. Lots going on. Going on.
Well, in that vein, as they say, with 2025 literally around the corner here, give us some good advice for 2025. Shoots, what you got? What you got for the folks today?
Good. Oh, shoots. Some advice for 2025 for a business coach. I'd go, in fact, here's an email that I'm going to send out in the very short term, but like most would incorrectly have you believe that the world is driven by greed, but the smartest minds in the world, a la Warren Buffett and the late great Charlie Munger, they will tell you that the world is actually driven by envy. And this is why people buy the bigger house and the BMW and the Porsche. And remember, the Porsche, the problem with buying the Porsche, it's not so much the price of the Porsche, which is normally pretty hefty. It's more expensive to insure. It's more expensive to service. It's more, heaven forbid you need, a part, or you need new tires, different size on the front and different size on the back and super low profile, etc. So it's like, it's the ongoing, and this, it's the envy that I believe leads people to do that. And by the way, I've owned them all, so I'm not here to say I don't want to get on my high horse and say, hey, you shouldn't own the Porsche, because you know what? If you want to own the Porsche, but understand the price tag is only the start. But anyway, so I would translate that. You want to influence people. If you want to influence people in a positive way, local business owners, joint ventures, etc., you want to make them envious of who you are and what you do, not what you have. Okay, so translation to that, I guess, would be work on your list of beliefs, values, habits, etc., and communicate as such. So again, make people envious of who you are and what you do, not what you have. And I think, again, if you go to your Facebook profile, you'll see the influencers with their Lamborghinis and private jet rides, etc., which, by the way, as these things work, there is no doubt. But again, it works for the reason that I just outlined. So what I would suggest, in 2025, let's use, what do we call it? Confidence and conviction as your superpower. Like, a lion doesn't complain about the path ahead. The lion walks with purpose, bites stuff, chases stuff, just generally scary, or organically reminding people and those around them that they are a bloody lion, right? So you at a networking event, how do you move around? I talk often, and this is Jordan Peterson 101, but the groundedness of a grandfather can be real powerful stance, so I think people are attracted to that groundedness. And by the way, interesting people, if you want to do well at a networking event, be interesting, and interesting people do interesting stuff. So do interesting stuff. And then, by the way, tell stories. Never give a lesson without a story, and never tell a story without a lesson. I think that's, who is that? That's Les Brown 101, right? So yeah, so you know what I mean? Again, how are you going about interesting people do interesting stuff, and then talk about it, not just business, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know, how do I want to, you don't want to see the world as it is and say why. You want to see the world as it could be and say why not. Like the battler coach, let's call it, uses coffee for energy, and then the 7-figure coach and the guy that's killing it and the one with the groundedness of the grandfather, they use their dreams, their vision to help people and help business owners as their motivation, right? So again, using coffee as energy, let's start using, what is that vision? What is that dream? And by the way, have you committed it to paper? Anyway, so I don't know that, I think the lion was what I was, moving around that networking group, like the lion, not the teddy bear, I think has got some power, but use, confidence and conviction as your superpower in 2025. There you go, Shoots. That's my answer.
Well, speaking of lines and chasing and biting things, it's a perfect segue, Shoots, for the Zen thought of the week. I don't know, I couldn't make this up any better myself. So
well done, Shoots. Well done. Okay, that's what I'm doing. You want me to hit you with my Zen thought?
Let's pivot. Let's do a sharp pivot here and go straight.
Yeah, that might not be the most organic thing, but anyways. Well, look, contentment is natural wealth, is what Socrates will tell you. Contentment. Do you have it? Do you not have it? If you don't have it, find a way. Define it, by the way. That's the way to get it. And when you know what matters most, everything makes sense. When you don't know what matters most, nothing makes sense, is what I think Socrates is alluding to there in a roundabout way. And also, I will tell you this, that be OCD about your monthly expenses, your monthly nut, right? How much are you, at the end of the day, if you want to have a nice, relaxing lifestyle, yes, you can increase your revenues, and that is a good idea. And that's the foundation of this entire podcast and what we do. But I'll tell you, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Those monthly expenses and inflation going through the roof, and everybody's talking about it, and it's absolute fact. You go get groceries today versus got groceries 2 years ago. It's a very different experience, especially I would imagine for those at Christmas time. When you go shopping, a checklist prior to grocery shopping can control those impulse purchases, right? So, and contentment, the other, I read a quote, and again, I'm gonna make a meal of it, I'm sure, but happiness is a result of results minus expectations, right? Results minus expectations. Charlie Munger will say, low expectations is the secret to a wonderful life. I'm gonna call it a calm life, which I think is a good state to look for. But again, low expectations. And, if you wanna be lucky, you just, again, the reason, if you're gonna, if you want to be lucky, keep going after others quit. That's what I'm trying to say, right? And that wherewithal, and that comes back to your conviction, that comes back to your confidence, and you are not too late. I know a lot of people tend to get into business coaching and consulting. Sometimes it's at a later chapter of life. You're not too late to knock it out of the park. You're just not. Remember, Ray Kroc started his first McDonald's at 52. I think KFC, Colonel Sanders, he was in his early 60s when he started KFC. The Red Bull guy was in his 60s when he got that going. Rodney Dangerfield was in his mid 40s before he got his first break in Hollywood. Real careful. That's a bad, feeling like you're behind is a bad is a bad frame mentally. You're not too late. Use those guys as inspiration if you find yourself at a later chapter of life trying to knock all this stuff out of the park. And that said, though, we've all had our 30th birthday, our 40th birthday, etc. And you know what I mean? You have those birthdays and you feel like, oh my gosh, it's all getting past me. So it doesn't just go for those, in their later years. I think it also goes for some a little bit younger, but feeling, looking on Facebook and seeing the younger guys buying their Lamborghinis, etc. So you're not too late, Shoots. That's my Zen thought. But contentment is natural wealth, is what Socrates will tell you, and I think huge power in that, Shoots. Huge power in that.
Okay, well there you go. Just like that, Socrates. It's I don't even know what to make of you anymore. We're quoting Socrates. We've gone from Tom Brady to Socrates. I'm just pointing this stuff out here, folks.
Don't pretend it's not the most organic thing ever, Shoots. Come on.
No, like let's not kid ourselves. Hey, listen. So New Year's around the corner, and guess what people want to do? Coaches. They want new clients. So, yes. Shocker, right? It's very different from 2024. Shoots. It's they want to do something different. They want to go out and get clients in 2025. Where, if you're a coach, where would you say are the best places to go out and get clients in the new year?
Okay, good question. And I agreed. This is top of mind. Remember, if you want to build a successful coaching companies, there's 3 baskets. There's lead generation, there is conversion, and then there is fulfillment. So I get the lead gen, but if you wanted to build a 7-figure coaching company with 100% certainty, it's the fulfillment that takes the time and that will stop you from getting to 7 figures, not the lead gen. So look, your best client is you 5 years ago, okay? Or 10 years ago, you will be able to guide somebody, you'll be able to see around corners. So if you're a really good salesperson, and you built an XYZ business in the past, or you guided an XYZ business in the past, that's a really good client for you. So, and a good mentor for you is somebody that's 5 to 10 years ahead of you, not 20 years ahead of you, and not 50 steps ahead of you. So you 5 years ago is a great client for you, and you in 5 years is a great mentor for you to line up. So places to get clients though. So companies advertising, guys doing, mailers will see a business coach and they got a, no junk mail sign. That's insanity in my opinion, right? You want to be able to see as many ads as you can, see what people are promoting, what they're selling, the offers they're putting, etc. So companies that are advertising. So that would be direct mail. That would be the online directory. That would be going to the baseball stadium. That would be at the golf course. That would be the local newspaper. And yes, there's still lots of them. And the local magazine. And yes, there's still lots of them. And they're also online. The local coupon book. And again, lots of those still exist. The guys advertising on Facebook. But anybody who's advertising, what they're saying and what you should read into it is they have just written a check, given over their credit card to advance their business's revenues. And that is a great coaching client. So looking for people who are advertising. And by the way, somebody who started advertising yesterday will be a better prospect than somebody who's been advertising for 3 years in the same place. They're both great prospects, but the new advertiser, again, it says, look, they right now are in growth mode. Businesses for sale, that's another place I'd be going. Remember, like one of the things we teach is how to build a turnkey marketing system. Imagine if you had 2 businesses for sale and one had a turnkey marketing system that was all, consistent in colors and theme, etc. Really good offers, really good copy, and then one didn't have a really good marketing system. Which one would be more attractive to you? Which one do you think would be more attractive to the marketplace? Your instincts are correct, the one with the marketing system. So again, these are the types of folks, and notwithstanding, making the business, if you want to sell a business, make it more profitable. It's more attractive when it's more profitable, and that's what we do. And that's why, like, I didn't build revenue acceleration software, I built profit acceleration software, right? So businesses for sale, for sure. Businesses that were nominated for local awards, okay, there's reason behind, like they're often it'll often be like a local newspaper that's putting together those awards, and then you're going to see that the winners in the top 3 and the top 10 often are advertising, right? Again, using their credit card, writing checks to basically grow their business. So again, businesses that were nominated for local awards, and some won and some didn't, and that can be the reason why you're going to help them, want to help them, right? Members of the Chamber of Commerce. Again, a new member of the chamber will be a hotter prospect than somebody who's been a member for 3 or 4 years, but they're both. Why do they write a check to the chamber? In a weird way, they're trying to grow their business, they're trying to build their network, they're trying to advance themselves. That's an example of somebody who is good, right? As a coaching client. Members of BNI. Again, somebody just joined BNI. A new member is a hotter prospect than somebody who's been there for 3 years, but they're both good prospects. BNI, remember, is the sandbox. So I'd be going to higher level networking events versus just BNI. And there's lots of those. Just have a look around. Companies that are sponsoring, they're sponsoring the local hockey team. They're sponsoring the local baseball team. They're sponsoring, the school newsletter. They're sponsoring something at school. These guys, again, could have advertising sold, or have, they're at the end of the day, they're trying to advance their business. There's a reason that they're doing it. And by the way, they've also shown that they've got some money and they see value in writing a check to promote and help out that local hockey team. And yes, it might just be a dad with a kid on the team, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, he's got a business and he's writing checks. She's writing checks. Like a new business registry, right? When a new business registers, again, getting teaching an old dog new tricks versus a puppy. Think about that, right? A new business, absolutely. Like my dad sold advertising for years, and he would have the yellow pages, like just yellow page after yellow pages all stacked up, and he would do it in small local towns. The first thing that he would do is he would have last year's yellow pages, and then he would get this year's yellow pages, and the first thing he went through and highlighted was new businesses, right? So again, those were the first phone calls that he made, and those were the hottest prospects. So somebody who's, a new business registry, getting your hands on a list of companies that just started, again, good list, somewhere I would be going. And again, do a local live event, and then invite them to your local live event, right? Joint ventures, you can't talk about getting new clients and not talk about joint ventures. That, without question, is if you have the power and the ability to, to get a joint venture on board, one joint venture partner, if you could take on like 20 clients at $2,000 a month, is $480,000 a year as a business coach consultant with 80% margins. One good joint venture partner that has, like think of the advertising medium that has hundreds and hundreds of advertisers, they themselves could provide you the 20 if you did a good job and you looked after the clients and guided them. So think banker, think accountant, think advertising sales in any way, the newspaper, the magazine, the online directory, the coupon book, the billboards along the highway. Promotional businesses, again, why does somebody buy t-shirts, mugs, pens, etc.? They're trying to market their business at a higher level. You tell me if the t-shirts help them market at a higher level, and the answer is generally hard no. But at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to do. That's what they're being guided. So again, promotional businesses, great joint venture partner. Website designer, somebody building a website. Why does somebody buy a website? Because again, they're trying to advance their company. In the head, they say, I've got to start driving traffic online. I've got to start attracting clients, using the internet, etc. Okay, they go and build a website. Question, does that website generally drive them traffic? They generally build a website and it just looks really cool, like the Yellow Page ad back in the day. And it doesn't bring in a traffic. It doesn't even have an opt-in a lot of the time, right? So again, website designers, graphic designers would fall into that, new logos, business cards, etc. Business broker, again, why does somebody contact a business broker? 2 reasons. 1, I want to buy a business, and 2, I want to sell a business, both of which are excellent coaching consulting businesses or clients. I could list any B2B offering would be the answer. That's who you're looking to is joint ventures. But again, bankers, accountants, ad salespeople, promotional companies, website designers, all networking groups and clubs and whatnot. Absolutely. Again, the golf course, the yacht club, etc. Which that would bring me to. So Networking, without doubt, going to BNI and going to the chamber events can absolutely get you clients. Generally speaking, that's the sandbox. That's the lower end entrepreneurs as a general rule, not always, but often. So what I would be doing if I'm networking, I said that a little bit earlier, but I'm going to the higher end. I'm going to the golf club. And again, it's the old, often the golf club and the oil and gas club and the yacht club, they've often got, what I would refer to as the old boys club. It's going to be a little bit harder to get into, but once you crack it, once you get in, you can find a significantly higher level of prospect coming your way. Can't talk about lead generation without talking about doing a local live event consistently. Again, if I was getting going as a business coach tomorrow, with 100% certainty, I would run a local live event every single week. Hell or high water, I'm there. If there's 2 people show up, 1 person shows up, 20 people show up, I'm killing my event. And remember, when you do a local live event, you want to get referrals. The KPI, the key performance indicator for me, the number one thing that I was driven to do was get referrals from the people in the audience. Why? The hardest thing to do was to fill the next event. And if I did a really good job, if I got a lot of referrals, it was an indication that I did a good job, that my stories landed, that my jokes landed, that the examples landed, etc. That I was doing, that I was educating them at a high level. So referrals is the one that I was looking for. So the appointments, if I did a really good job, the appointments, the clients, the cash, the revenue all looked after itself. So what I really did is I did those local live events, and what you'll find is that makes you uber referable. And that goes for the personal trainer, and that goes for the chiropractor. The chiropractor should be doing back talk, and the personal trainer should be doing a free event on Monday for new prospects, right? So anyways, doing a local live event is something that I would absolutely be doing. And everybody that I just listed, I'd be inviting them to the event, right? I don't call this sandbox activity by any stretch, but like one of the things I would be looking to do is I'd just be looking at local websites. Like if somebody was advertising, one of the first places I'd be going is to their website. And then, either, using a scorecard or mentally using a scorecard to go, is this website any good? Is this website actually working? Does this website actually have a compelling offer, excellent copy? Does it have an opt-in? What is the opt-in? What is the offer, etc.? And I think instinctively that the local chiropractor, the local daycare, the local butcher, baker, candlestick maker, the website leaves a lot to be desired in that area. So again, going just, local websites and, having a look at those things as a business coach, a consultant, no doubt, these are the types of things that we're working on with our clients, creating, a good framework and whatnot. That's what my Jumpstart 12, profit acceleration software. It's built, specifically around 12 areas that all the biggest companies in the world have dialed in. And the chiropractor, the dentist, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker should also have the areas dialed in, and they don't. So that's what that's the foundation of a really good website, right? So anyway, that's I'm sure there's other places and things I'm not thinking of, but that would be a good start. And at the end of the day, 20 clients at $2,000 a month would be close to $500,000 a year as a business coach. There's one thing will be, it's like, why does the S&P 500, what is Warren Buffett says, if you want to invest, what do? You go to the S&P 500 dollar cost average, translation, take a amount of money, call it $1,000, $10,000, whatever it is, $1,000 every week, every month, and put it into the stock market. When the stock market is down, you will buy better. And when the stock market is up, you will buy not as well, right? But by dollar cost averaging, basically you will win. Why? Because the S&P 500 is the top 500 companies in the world. What does he know about the top 500 companies in the world? What do you know about the top 500 companies in the world? What do Road Dogg and I know about the top 500 companies in the world? They will always want to grow. They will want to become more profitable. They're answerable to their shareholders, and their shareholders put pressure on them to build, better, more solid, profitable companies. Well, translation, I don't need to know where you live in the local community to know that the local entrepreneurs want to what? They all want to grow, and they want to become more profitable. So if you get in front of those individuals and you've got a roadmap, a framework, some software or something to guide them to become more profitable with ridiculous consistency, they will be more than open to it, and you will be able to get your 20 clients. The reason that coaches fail is they hide behind their computer, stare at the phone, and experience pain. Okay, you have got to put yourself out there, and those business owners, and then but you get a little bit, and then again you got to learn to pitch, right? And you get it's a little bit better. Remember, if you get a 1% gain every day for 365 days, you get a 37x return. I don't care how bad you are at pitching and how bad you are at selling right now. If we 37x to your talents, you'd be pretty damn good at it. So anyway, so that's my answer, Shoots. Rock and roll, do it with conviction, do it with some confidence, the groundedness of a grandfather, the lion ripping through the jungle. Like you've got the power to help these companies and act as such. So that's my answer, Shoots. How'd I do?
Okay, so you mentioned a lot of targeting people that manage advertising. One thing you didn't talk about was actually advertising yourself. So, like, what are your thoughts on advertising as a business coach?
Yeah. Well, look, my thoughts, I advertise right now as you listen to this. I've got ads running. I advertise every day, all day. Everybody hates advertising until they need to sell their own car, right? Advertising to profit is a superpower, right? So the business that you'll meet, and there's lots of them, and they say proudly, kind of pounding their chest, I built my business on word of mouth and referrals only, right? With they're building a business 10% as big as what they could have done, right? So it can be as simple as the painting company, okay? They're there for a week and they put a sign on the lawn out front of the house that they are painting. And then, they will get referrals from the neighbors, right? And by the way, what they do is they don't get a huge amount of referrals. They do it for a week, they do it for a month, and then they don't get anything. And what do they say to themselves? Oh, it doesn't work. But the reality is if you do it each time, every time, if you got, let's just say it's $10,000 net that they make, they paint the house and they make $10,000 of profit. Might be significantly more, it might be a little bit less sometimes, but just use 10 grand. If they get 5 clients a year from putting the sign on the front lawn, that's an extra $50,000 of profit straight in their jeans, right? But remember, they do it for a week. The same way that a business coach does a local live event, 1, 2, or 3, and then they give up because they don't get clients. But the reality is they just, like anything in life, there's a process. You get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. You and I, Road Dog, talk about, the event you and I did together, right? I got up there, I've done hundreds and hundreds of these things. We get like 100% conversion from the room. That's not 100% conversion to appointments, but that was 100% conversion to high-end coaching client. But by the way, there wasn't 50 people in the room. There wasn't 100 people in the room. There was 7 buying units in the room, and 7 out of 7 put up their hand and basically bought, right? So, but okay, translation, I've done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, right? So again, are you going to be able to get the same results? And the answer is no, but it comes back to every day for 365 days, getting a 37x return. You get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. When you double a penny every day for 30 days, you get to $5 million. You do it for 31 days, you're over 10 million, right? So it's compounding. It's the magic of compounding. So anywho, by the way, I shouldn't, and so the painting company, by the way, the other thing that they should be doing that they are not doing is something I call a good neighbor program that I introduced to my clients with ridiculous success. And that is simply this, that they are painting number 11 on the street. Okay, and then they knock on the door, they go 5 doors down one way, 5 doors down the other way, and then 10 across the street, and basically say, look, we're doing the Smiths at number 11. We're going to be in town. Would you also like to get your your house painted? And because we're already going to be here, we can do it for this value add or this discount while we're in the neighborhood. What do you think? And Does it work every time? Like with 100% consistency, they will get new business if they do it consistently, and they too will get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, right? So anyway, but sign on, it's having a van out the front while you're painting the house that is also sign written in a professional way, not a beat up truck, but one that is sign written, that looks good. Makes them look professional, etc. That will absolutely bring in business. So the bottom line is that, and that would be a very low key way of advertising, but that's going to be, your client might not want to do Facebook ads, right? But that's the kind of advertising that they can do, and they can do very, very successfully. And by the way, when you advertise, remember, you got to advertise what they want, not what they need. Right? So like new opportunities will outpull improvement by a long way. Okay. So like a new website, a new sales system, a new funnel, a new marketing system, a new direction, a new product, new AI, a new AI bot, you know what I mean? Like new versus improvement. And let's call that, 20% improvement in your profits, for a bad example, but a good example, right? So new opportunities outpull improvement by a lot when you're advertising. And another, like a chiropractor is a great example. If you are a chiropractor and you advertise, you're probably, unless I was in a car accident recently, not replying as a general rule. But massage is something that is very attractive to people. Okay, so the average chiropractor will tell you that a massage therapist is a pain in the butt. But that's because they don't have a process. If they use massage to get people into chiropractic, they can start advertising massage and then moving people up and say, like but you got to have a story and you got to have a process that you'd get a little bit better at. But in fact, I've told this story at different times on the podcast, but like, if Jim McMahon, the quarterback for the Chicago Bears back in the day, he has early onset dementia. Basically, they just assumed that it was from all the hits in the head. But the reality is his neck was so messed up that basically he wasn't getting the right amount of air to his brain. He went to a chiropractor. They made a switch, and he said it was like a toilet. It was like a toilet flushing. And all of a sudden he could get, he was getting the right amount of air and his neck was fixed up, right? Well, basically think about that as a story. And now your massage therapist is asking, so have you ever felt tired when you didn't feel like you should feel tired? You ever had a good night's sleep, woke up and, still felt a little bit lethargic? At 2:00 in the afternoon, do you find that you lack energy? And you create a series of questions, very simple. And by the way, most people in getting a massage are going to answer. If you create the questions properly, almost everybody is going to say yes multiple times. And you say, oh my gosh. And then they tell them the Jim McMahon story and say, look, let's get you really quickly. It's a real simple process, but we'll get you up to Dr. Dave. He will do an x-ray and he will be able to tell you, he'll be able to, weigh this, do that, and be able to tell you if he was able to help you. And now all of a sudden you just took somebody from massage to consultation, and then you take them from consultation to regular chiropractic patient, right? So, but you need a process, right? So, but translation, most people will tell you that, again, advertising is not what they do. They built their business off of word of mouth and referrals and brag about it. The truth is that if your client wants to grow and really knock it out of the park and become a bit of a, dominate their market a little bit and whatnot, and really, really crush it and create big financial goals with margin and with profit, advertising is a superpower to that. But advertising to profit, advertising to profit is a superpower. So like I said, I'm advertising every day, all day. And I think businesses should find a way to use advertising effectively. So that's my thoughts on advertising. It's for sure.
So all I want to add to that is, because I love it. I love it when you talk to business owners and they're like, yeah, well, we do word of mouth and stuff. It's like, okay, well, that's great. It's not 1995. So that's exciting. But if you take a look at word of mouth now, what is it? It's Google reviews, it's online reviews, it's rant and rave groups inside of Facebook. It's like, if you go onto Kelowna Rant and Rave, bro, like I just signed on to this group the other day. Holy smokes. Like, you're either getting nothing but props or you're getting lit the heck up. Like, it's pretty wild. And but that's word of mouth now, right? So it's super interesting. So by being ahead of it, by advertising, and then responding to comments, right, and asking for reviews, that's so huge, so huge.
Yeah,
so,
what is Gary Vaynerchuk called it?
I know. Yes.
Yeah, what am I trying to, but basically add your 2 cents.
Yes.
Multiple times per day. Like you just go in and like you go into groups where your ideal client is. So a chiropractor is going to be in groups where people have sore backs and whatnot, and you just comment like crazy. You know what I mean? Like using social media, using comments, driving traffic in that manner, which by the way can take some time, and you got to compartmentalize it, for you and for your clients, but no doubt it's like pouring gasoline on lead gen for sure.
And the only thing I'll add to that before we move on is, if you're going to do it, like, don't try and be a hero day one and be like, I'm going to post every single, no, you're not. Actually, you're not. Like, how about you start it once a week, or maybe twice, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? Like, ease into it. Now, mind you, it's gotten a lot easier to schedule your posts. So maybe you take, a Sunday or whatever, right? A Friday afternoon, you take 2 hours and you just sort of, prepare all your posts. But it's always interesting when people come out on fire and then they just fizzle right out, and it's like, oh, they just completely disappear.
That's because so they don't. And by the way, it's I think Gary Vaynerchuk calls it spend $1.80 and it's your 2 cents 90 times a day. But what you're saying, like, you need a process, right? It's like, as a business coach would be a good example. What you need to do, the reason it fizzles out, because they're responding to everything with their fingers. Whereas what you want to do is think of having a Word doc, and you've got how to form a joint venture, a really great post. And then you take that, and then that's your comment. How to create a compelling offer. Write it once, and then you've got it. You know what I mean? And you can post it 50 times, 100 times, 2,000 times. You just copying and pasting and then editing, but don't just copy and paste it. That's lame, right? And then you want to individualize it a little bit, right? But anyway, so having that document, the reason they fizzle out, because they make it so difficult, because again, they don't have a process. And that's a process, is a Word doc with all. And when you comment and you make like a really elongated, like a long post, as opposed to a short one, like a long detailed one with 1, 2, 3 and ABC, etc., you will get significantly more attention with that than you will without. So there you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you on the spot here just for a minute, because we talk about the addiction of comparison. Okay, like, it was a while back, but someone asked me if the whole addiction of comparison, can that be used in a positive way to kind of blow up and accelerate your success?
Ooh, yeah. Like addiction to, yeah, I remember that. Like addiction to comparison. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. Accept it. You can fight it or profit from it. Dan Kennedy would say, how about create your own comparisons? That's how to do it. Like, make something official and then use it. Like, who's to say who the #1 business coach is in your city, right? Or the fastest growing, or the highest ROI coach, or, are you willing to take that mantle, that title, right? Like, have you ever watched the ESPYs? Like, it's the Grammys for sports, right? How did one think of this, right? Like, or the MTV Awards, and that they're the same for music, basically, right? As the ESPYs, the Grammys are official and stuffy, and then the MTV Awards are fun, like when Madonna kissed Britney, as an example, right? Or the Academy Awards, right? Like, you ever notice how they win the Oscar, but the box office totals say something totally different? Like, how would you feel if you starred in a movie and you grossed like 25x, 100x what the other one did, and then the other one won the Oscar for the best film? See, that seems like a bit of a joke, right? But in 10 years, one is the Academy Award winner and the other is not. So it doesn't, at the end of the day, it's, that decision is, not to mention, like, a powerful one would be understatement on steroids. Like Martin Scorsese, what is it? Martin Scorsese, I think that's his name. Am I screwing it up? But he created like the Goodfellas, Color of Money, Cape Fear, Casino, Aviator. I think he also did Wolf of Wall Street, and he didn't win an Oscar. He finally did for a movie, The Departed, which I've watched many a times and is unbelievable, with Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio. Unbelievable movie. But like, give me a break, right? Ridiculous that the industry, you know what I mean, didn't get him like he should have won a Grammy, an Oscar so much earlier, right? But they created an organizing body with all the biases, deeming something worthy, not the marketplace, certainly not ticket sales or revenue, right? So, but the bottom line, look, people are like, they love and are drawn to rankings. So think of, and translation, think of creating your own list. Like I know Evan Carmichael, a guy who I interviewed in one of my first ever podcast. He used to do, I don't think he does it anymore, but top realtors in Canada, or top mortgage brokers in California, top influencers in digital marketing. And then he uses that to drive traffic. Like HubSpot does it as well. You know, he had the best business coaches to follow. And by the way, they made me 6th. But suddenly I'm a fan and I'm watching what they're what they're doing. And, here I am promoting it now, right? Like I remember hearing about the oil and gas machinery company, and they literally sell awards. They're giving out awards for oil and gas machinery companies, and then like the more you pay, the higher you rank, right? But people looked into it, and they probably don't care that much. But when you're able to say you are ranked number 1 for XYZ in the entire oil and gas industry, that's the kind of thing that can go on your website, go in your marketing material, or maybe one that's more familiar, like Volvo is the safest car. Like, are they? Right? Or is BMW really the driving machine? So these are, these things are, I don't know, quote unquote, made up, right? So question is, what if you created the local business awards? And then you'll probably, as I say that, I can almost hear you saying, yeah, but that's already been done, right? Well, stop it and just think of an angle like MTV did and the ESPYs did, right? Like make it a little funner, a little more serious, a little less serious, etc. And become the organizing body, and then put the crown on your own damn head, the same way, by the way, that Tony Robbins did way back when he fought against the industry and psychologists, etc. Right? He just put a crown on his own damn head, and it worked pretty well, right? And if you had a crown on your head, how might that help you when you're at the local networking group, when you're pitching people who won awards, that were up for awards, people at the networking function, the people at, when you go to speak to the accountant, the joint venture, the business broker, the banker, etc. And like Tony Robbins gets paid for who he is, not what he does, right? That is something to work towards. Are you going to do that overnight? The answer is no. But I can tell you that, again, comparison, it's an absolute, it is addiction, right? People just have this thing of comparing people. Well, create something they can compare you to, and literally put yourself at the top of the list. Like even like this podcast, right? We were recently ranked 3rd podcast for business coaching. And by the way, number 2 was Tony Robbins. We were number 3, right? And again, and by the way, that's not, we didn't, the organizing body, we didn't pay him. I don't know who it is, etc. They just, they ranked us. I think we're doing a good job. Got a 4.9 out of 5 ranking on Apple, by the way. But the bottom line, it's a process. It's going to take a little bit of time, but, could you be the person that creates the local business awards? Or what kind of, could you create the list of the best chiropractors, create the list of the best florist shops, create the list of the best butchers, the best bakers, the best candlestick makers? And the answer is you absolutely could. Going to take a little bit of time. It is putting yourself out there a little bit, but that could be pretty powerful. So,
Shoots.
Yeah.
Listen, the candlestick maker list, that's an exclusive club. Like that is.
That is Shoots. That's a tough one to get in.
It's not once you crack that nut, it's like you're set for life. It's just like an annuity that just continues to pay. Listen, my God, you can't get away from the candlestick maker. While you're in town, I got to take you down on just off of Richter and Clement. There literally is a candle store there. We have to go and get a picture in front of it. Post it. This is a thing. This is happening.
We're helping them.
Okay. Listen, no doubt, obviously, they got to do something with the list, right? Whether they create it or get on it, whatever. Like, any advice on that part of it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another problem. Like when you get ranked on the list, will you tell anyone? Will anyone know? Do you have a platform? And the answer is probably not, right? Um, and by the way, the game plan isn't just to get known, it's to get known by the right people, right? So you could get on the list and only have 7 people know about it, where you rank number 1 or whatever. But if those are the right 7 people, look out. Like 7 JV partners, as an example, could change anybody's coaching business like literally overnight. So I hope you understand like the power of that and how it aligns with getting to 7 figures. Like people don't hit 7 figures because they're busy earning 6 figures, right? You don't hit 7 figures because you're too busy earning 6 figures, right? You need leverage, you need money, contacts, networks, events, influence, etc. And yes, if you created that list and promoted it, it would take some time, some energy, possibly some hard cash, etc. Certainly your attention. But would it be worth it? And I think it would be, right? Like think about going into the business of branding you. And like I capitalize you, underline it, italicize it, bold it. Like what would that look like? Tony Robbins is in the business of being Tony Robbins. Make no mistake about that. A mentor of mine, he was one of the first investors in Salesforce. And Tony Robbins is a billionaire off of his shares in Salesforce alone. Right? Like Elon Musk is in the business of being Elon. Hulk Hogan back in the day was in the business of being Hulk, right? The Rock, business of being Rock. Taylor Swift today is the same, right? Like when one guy gets paid 100 grand per year to coach and the other gets paid 12 grand a year, and they're fundamentally doing the same job, right? Or one actor gets 50 grand and the other actor gets 50 million. It's not a 49 million plus difference in talent that separates them, right? It's McGregor got paid $100 million to box Mayweather, and he's not even a boxer, right? Think about the insanity of that. And by the way, I don't think it's worked out very well for him because I think he's picked up some bad habits. But anyways, but it's the leverage. It's celebrity. It's Jake Paul 101. Right? Rock is in the business of being the Rock, and that's why he gets overpaid at an insane level in comparison to the people doing the exact same job in the exact same movies, right? So I would say translation, the big money flows to people with high levels of status, and there's a chance that this possibly annoys you. You can fight it, or you can profit from it. So you kind of got to just get over it and get into the right business. And that's the business of being you. Again, being the lion, going to that networking event, and walking through there like a lion and just, with conviction and confidence. And by the way, you can do this on a significantly lower scale, right? Like a billboard. The realtor buys a billboard, right? People, is this a good idea? Let me tell you how it works. It's actually more defense, right? Because the realtor has often got a brother, a cousin, friends from high school that promote and refer other realtors, right? But when the realtor all of a sudden has the billboard, what happens? People in their immediate network, past clients, people close to them, all of a sudden they take that individual a little bit more seriously. They see them taking themselves more seriously. So it's actually, and if you understand being a realtor, referrals. That's, like the billboard for the realtor is a defense strategy as much as anything else from his or her own network, right? And again, for a business coach, I'm thinking we got to translate this. Most importantly, do the local events. People love educators, and they love a damn good one. So the better you get at it, and the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. The better you get at, the more they're going to love you. The more they're going to love you, the more they're going to refer you. Right? Like I used to do an event way back when where I guaranteed to solve any marketing problem on the spot. Right? Got me all kinds of attention, worked incredibly well. And then a few years ago, I guaranteed to solve any business coaching problem on the spot, right? And truthfully, before I started, because I saw the list of people that opted in that were attending, I kind of pooped my pants a little bit, but it was all great. I released them as a podcast. You could listen to them. It's a while back, so you'd have to search it, but worked real well, right? So that could have, we talked about it last week, like Mahomes took over Brady in his rookie season as MVP of the NFL. If it can happen in the NFL, it can absolutely happen in your local business community, right? But assume that it won't happen overnight, and it's going to be some work, and it's got to be work that you're prepared to put in like a professional athlete, right? And your clients help them do the same. Stop helping them be a better landscaper, painter, accountant, electrician, right? Help them get really good at what they do. And, because you don't want to yell too loud before you want to get heard, right? But, like they become unbelievable landscaper, and then help them get to the mindset to become the marketer of the thing that they do, become the marketer of landscaping, right? And maybe like a good metaphor for all this is like your body. Your body doesn't care that you like nourishing foods, like lots of water, and like to exercise. It delivers results in accordance to how you play the game of health according to the rules, right? So again, you just, your weight, your current health, and of course there are some nuances, no doubt here. But you know what I mean? Like by loving to lift weights, you're not going to grow muscles. You got to lay down on the bench and start pushing. And maybe storytelling needs a mention here as well. How do you tell the story of you, right? The hottest celebrities in Hollywood and whatnot are incredible at answering the question about themselves and then delving into stories about the new movie they're starring in, right? Making it funny, dramatic, educational, revealing, etc. Right? I remember way back when I wrote a blog post / email about my first hockey fight when I was 16 years old, playing against guys that were like 5 years older and 5 to 10 inches taller. You could Google it, but the fight ends with a guy tapping me on the head and saying, "That was never going to end well for you, little buddy, but good on you for having a crack. And I hope that nose heals quickly," right? But forget about Leonardo, Elon, anything I'm doing, or The Rock. What stories do you have to tell, right? Remember, interesting people do interesting stuff, and then talk about it, right? And have you thought about them? Have you practiced them? Have you thought about how you can ramp up the conflict? Every episode of Friends, Seinfeld, Three's Company, Game of Thrones, Bachelor, etc. It's got conflict as the central theme. So you got to make sure as you're telling stories that you're getting good at the conflict in between, right? So that's Dan Kennedy will talk about bankruptcy all of the time as an example. A lot of good speakers and whatnot, again, they're always talking about overcoming. Tony Robbins is famous for it, unbelievable at it, talks about conflict and overcoming it. Like Tony Robbins this day, the guy's like 60 odd years old, and he's talking about when he was like 18 and I don't even think he was 18, he was like 17 years old and a janitor, talking about conflict. There's a reason behind it. And again, he's done it time and time and time again. So he's got better and better and better at making sure, that the story, comes with a lesson, right? So I don't know. How can you tell your story and, change it into a metaphor and a learning life and business kind of lesson, right? And when I ask you why you do what you do, what is your answer? Do you tell each new prospect or each client or each prospect at the networking function, or do you assume your story is boring and they don't really want to hear it because you've told it time and time again, right? Like again, Tony Robbins is still telling the same stories that he told literally 30 years ago, right? And there's a good chance that you are not delivering yours, that you haven't framed yours, that you haven't practiced yours, and I think that that's a mistake, right? And by the way, look, in closing, you don't be a badass when you're not a badass, and don't put yourself out there as Mother Teresa when that's not the case, right? If you look at Britney Spears and Tiger Woods and they're kind of, falling off, your story's got to be authentic. It's got to be genuine, and then amplify it, right? But make no mistake, the number one rule of becoming a 7-figure operator is mindset, and you need to feel super worthy of promoting you, right? Again, you capitalized, italicized, bold, underline, very, very important. So, and again, Tony Robbins gets paid for who he is more than what he does by a lot. So there's magic in that. So there you go, Shoots. That's my answer, bud. That's but yeah, they gotta have it's one thing to get on the list, it's one thing to create a list, it's a whole nother thing to market the list, to create get it out there and get it in, not just in front of people, but the right people. Remember, if you only got it in front of 7 people, that's not ideal, but if they were the right 7 people, that could be magic. Yep. So that's my answer, Shoots.
Yep. Okay, so with that in mind, what's the one thing, Karl, that somebody can take? Because I feel like there's a lot today, but if you just had to narrow it down to what's one thing that a coach should take from this podcast, this episode, and implement into their business?
I think it's the you. I mean, look, the best places to get clients. I know that, it's the number one question that we get time and time again. So like, where do you go get clients? I listed a bunch of places to go, like people advertising, people up for awards, the chamber, the BNI, the golf course, the yacht club, the oil and gas club, et cetera, the people sponsoring those folks, businesses for sale, certainly joint ventures, getting in good with them and understanding that it's a process. If you try to get too aggressive with the accountants, they're going to wave goodbye. Not a good thing. But I just think, create, go into the business of promoting you, right? Like Elon Musk is in the business of promoting Elon times a million, so much so that he bought Twitter and then changed the name to X. He's just in the business of promoting him. Tony Robbins is in the business of promoting Tony Robbins. Get into the business of promoting you, but you gotta have, but that sounds good. What is your story? What is your why? What is the conflict that you overcame? Why are you doing this? Who are you going to help? How are you going to help them, et cetera? So, create that. Remember, the value isn't in the plan. The value is in the planning, right? Because believe me, Mike Tyson will say everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the nose, and you're going to get punched in the nose. In other words, you're going to get off track. So by doing the planning, you'll be able to bring your plan, back to reality time and time again, because you did the planning, right? So the plan, what do they say about a business plan, right? It just gathers dust and goes in the, into the, the drawer. The magic is not in the plan. The magic is in the planning. And if they did a great job of planning the business, when they get punched in the nose, they'll be able to, fall back. It's like what does Tyson mean by that? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the nose. They've got to fall back on their training to get back. And get to the sound of the bell. They can sit down, get some water, take their mouth guard out and kind of, reassess and come back at them. So anyways, magic is in the planning. So get in the business of, you don't just go in the business of promoting you. What's your plan, right? And again, the planning of it will be where the magic lies. So that's my answer, Shoots.
Beautiful. Obviously, folks, we're going to be discussing a lot of ways for you to go and get clients into the new year. But again, if you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, you're not getting Karl's daily emails, you want more information how to grow and build and scale your coaching company, visit focused.com, subscribe today. And again, thanks for tuning into another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like and subscribe and share and do all the lovely things. Share with a fellow coach, share it with somebody who you think might make a great coach, and let them in. Again, what are we trying to do? Hey, we're trying to spread this message out and help as many people as we possibly can as well. I had no idea we'd reached number 3 Shoots, so that's pretty impressive by both of us. Super proud of that. So let's continue to spread this message and help as many business coaches as we can. And that is it for another week. In the spirit of Tony Robbins, remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.